This is going even better than I thought it was going to this season. I wonder if this could be the year that we make an unexpected leap. Right, and here we are on our first ever game day with the old lady. It is the under-23s, of course, but still, playing Juventus for the first time in our history, it's got to be a landmark of some sorts. We are top, they are bottom. So, interesting. Might be the only time I could say that during the saves, I think. We're playing Juventus whilst we're top and they're bottom. But it's a pretty cool thing to be able to say. As you can see, we're actually 6 points clear. We're having a very, very good run. Haven't yet lost in the league. 3 draws only. And we're doing really, really well. Haven't lost since that Coppa Italia defeat in extra time against Pescara, which was disappointing. But hopefully we will have our chance for revenge in the next game. We are going to do Juventus and Pescara, purely because they are the team that we're hoping to get some revenge from. I could have chosen almost any of these teams, to be honest, but Pescara to me seemed to be the only one with a significant story, in that we want some of that sweet, sweet revenge after that opening day defeat in the Coppa Italia. But things have gone very, very well since then. So, we are looking at the players who are going to be playing today. Bolsham will continue. He's got 9 goals in 12 games. Slightly off form recently, but he's had a good season so far. Luca Meloni has certainly been the star of the season, really. Certainly, if you take away Ostini, who's been a bit of a revelation as well. But Luca Meloni has done a really, really good job on that left wing. I did have a think about whether he should be the first choice winger this year. We brought in Cristiani, who could have taken over. We had Giliberti as well, who was a possibility. But I'm really pleased I stuck with Meloni. He had a decent season last year and he's been better this year. So some really, really promising signs from him on that left wing. The only place we've got a bit of a problem with, and I kind of thought this would be the case, but the only place we've got a bit of a problem with really is that shadow striker role that we can't really find the right player for. Which is a bit of an issue, but for now I'm kind of happy to let it kind of just drift along. Ralph Sommer is not great, but he's doing a job there, and I mean, if you look at him, he should probably be better than he is. He should be able to play in that advanced playmaker role, even, which I'm not playing him in. He's playing as a shadow striker. In fact, I do wonder whether he might. I mean, it should, in theory, be a much more complicated position, but maybe his attributes just mean that he would be better as that advanced playmaker. I think I'm talking myself into this, you know. Maybe Ongonch would be a little bit more. Yeah, I'm going to go for the Ongonch. I also like the name Ongonch. It's quite cool. So a slight change there of the tactic, but I think it might suit Sommer a little bit better. We might be able to get a little bit more of a tune out of him if we do that. So today we are playing Juventus under 23s, and we are going to go with that team. We're doing pretty well at the moment and don't see any real need to change the team much. As I say, slight change in tactics just to see if I can get a little bit more out of Ralph Sommer. Papetti, they like Papetti, that's good. Hopefully we can keep this good run going. It's certainly been a good start to the season. And we're off. First game away at Juventus. It's at their second ground, so it's not at the Juventus Stadium, which is called now, I believe. And Roller's through. Roller scores. Really nice piece of work there. Juventus, in their very odd kit, are going 1-0 down. I don't really know why they were appealing for offside there. He was clearly on. And Zaffarano take the lead once again. And as you can see, we are starting to look quite dominant in this league. 8 points clear of Vicenza. And admittedly, this is the team bottom of the league at the moment who are not supposed to be really challenging us. But we are really running rampant here. Roller finds Meloni, and it's 2-0 already. Nice finish there from Meloni. We do look like we're going to score every time we come forward. Sommer shoots, and Meloni's there again. It's 3-0, and we are absolutely running rampant here. This is terrific from us. And that takes us through to half-time. Not a huge amount of chances after that third goal, but very, very convincing performance. And this game is certainly won. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut to another game, which just means that I'll be able to bring you a little bit more, because I don't really see a huge amount of point in bringing you the second half of this dead game. So what we'll do is, instead of giving you just 2 games, I'm going to try and bring you 3. But we will cut away if, like this one, the game just feels like it's over at half-time or something similar to that. So I will be back in a moment with the news of the end of this game and also the next game. Okay, and here we are on the day of the Pescara game, 8th November 2031, and we have one change to make because Miloni is injured. Sorry, suspended. So we're down to just 10 substitutes today. We could call up someone for the youth team, but 10 substitutes is actually plenty. Other than that, this team looks to me to be about ready. Nobody on heavy load at the moment in terms of match load, which is useful. It means that our conditions should be just about manageable. Right, and we're going to pick up where we left off and see if we can take another 3 points here. Do pretty well. Still haven't lost in the league yet. Good start, nearly getting a goal just after a minute or so. See the chasing pack quite a long way back now. And they're bunching up underneath that. It's not a huge amount of gaps underneath it, but the gap to us is pretty big. 9 points separating second from 15th. So, sorry, no, 11 points now because Regina presumably has just scored. But yeah, 11 points separating at second and 15th is not a lot. And the fact that we're standing out from the pack means that I'm starting to get a bit more confidence that we might actually be able to get another promotion this year. Be a lot quicker than we got our Series C promotion anyway. Borelli finds Kendrina and they're 1-0 up. It's a shock early lead for Pescara. We did, of course, beat us in the cup after extra time. But hopefully we can use this second half to get a bit of revenge. The first few minutes, first sort of 10-15 minutes or so of the half were very good. And then the second half of that half, they came back into it and they got the goal where we didn't, which is a shame. We need to be a little bit better than that, really. It'd be a shame to drop points now at home against a team that, well, we really ought to be able to beat. And with Regina now 2-0 up, it will be a little bit closer after this game as it stands. Bring on Pignola. Bolzan can come off for Guichard. It's not looking particularly good. We've created pretty much nothing in this game, which is pretty disappointing, really. After such a dominant game against Juventus, and we know that Juventus are not doing great and they are clearly going to be a pretty poor side in this league. But really, this is not the kind of game that we should be losing at home to a team that are not exactly the best team in the league. I mean, I think we're the best team in the league. Guichard, he's there. Should have scored Guichard, and that is that. Disappointing that. Really should have won it, and I'd like to see a little bit more fight, really. Regina were pulled back by Reggiano really late on, so that's good for us. It means that gap still exists. But Venezia do also have a game in hand, so there is a gap, but it's a little bit more precarious than it was before after the first defeat of the season. 14 matches in a row without losing. We've now lost for the first time, which is a real shame. In the league, that is. We did lose a cup game just before the Vicenza game beginning of the season. I did want to spend a little bit of time before I bid you farewell for today, just to point out that we're getting 5 figures for most home games this season so far, and that's pretty promising. You look at our attendance figures; most of the top ones are for home games. Foggia and Vicenza, 2 of the bigger teams, getting slightly higher crowds, but we're getting very, very significant crowds, which presumably means that we are going to start becoming more financially competitive with some of these teams. And that's quite a big deal because it does mean that we can gradually build up both the reputation and the bank balance of the club. And hopefully that will mean that we can start moving through the leagues, or the league now. So if you look at our salaries, obviously Juventus miles ahead of everyone else because they've got the whole might of Juventus with them. We are currently spending, by some distance, the lowest in the league. And we also do have insecure finances. So the fact that we're managing to finish first, as it stands, is pretty incredible, really. We're doing really well. But to take that sort of next step, we need to start getting up to, 85% capacity is pretty good for a brand new stadium. But we need perhaps to be thinking about firstly filling that up and then thinking about maybe trying to expand the stadium a little bit. Because I think in order to properly compete, we need to probably have one of the highest attendances. And at the moment, we don't really. You can see there are some clubs here with 14, 16, and that will make a big difference if we can start doing that. At this level, doesn't become true. I don't know how much it's true in Serie A, but certainly in the Premier League, it stops being true in the Premier League because of TV money. and I'm sure the same is true to some extent in Serie A. But in this league, certainly, it's really, really important that we can compete with that. So one of the things I'm going to be trying to look to do as soon as we can is to expand that stadium. If we can do that at the end of this season, having had a very good season, I'm assuming for the moment that we don't get promoted. If we get promoted, it's a whole different story. But if we don't get promoted this season, then the end of the season, I think the big thing will be to try and really push to get that stadium expansion. Assuming it's even possible, I don't know if it is. We know that we're not going to get a new stadium for quite some time, if at all. But expansion of the current stadium isn't impossible. We could actually ask for it now. I feel like it's too early. We've just moved. We moved into it 2 months ago. It's way too early at the moment. But we've clearly got something to do in terms of being able to compete with other teams financially, because we are still losing money quite a significant rate, even though we've got a better income now in terms of the stadium income. If you look at our expenditure, it has gone up significantly, and the reason for that, there are several reasons for that. The main reason, though, is the loan repayments and interest. We're now paying, we've paid $1 million already, almost $1 million already, and we're only in November this season. So there's quite a lot of work to be done to cover that shortfall. And it's a bit of a problem going forward that we need to think about trying to address. And the stadium is the one way that we can really start to offset that. The problem with that, of course, is that the likelihood is that any expansion will also be funded by debt. But I think the benefits will outweigh the costs. That's my guess. We'll see. If I'm honest, we got a stadium a little earlier than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting them to build a new stadium until we were really pushing for promotion, if not actually getting promotion. We weren't doing that last year. We are now. But last year we weren't doing that. We just about avoided relegation. Could you imagine if we'd started in this new stadium in Series C? It would have been awful. So that's certainly something I want to look out for in the coming years. You can see we've had a very good start to the season. That defeat doesn't change that. It is, however, disappointing. It's, of course, our first ever defeat at AC Zaffarana Stadium. So I suppose a landmark day, the 8th of November 2031. First time that AC Zaffarana ever lost at their brand new stadium. A sad day, but a day to celebrate the fantastic start to the season we've made, and the fact that at the moment it looks like we should be really pushing for promotion this year. I think the next few months are going to be pretty crucial, and we will be back for a lot of them. In terms of the next game, I'm thinking of Salernitana, because I think that could be a really crucial game, possibly Vicenza as well, so we might have those two games there, 20th and 28th of December. And I will see you for those two. And then we'll look at the January transfer window as a whole, probably, I would have thought. So, a defeat for the first time at the new stadium. It's a bit sad, but it had to happen at some point. And hopefully, over the next few weeks in this save, we can really start to cement our position towards the top of the table and look at maybe even getting another promotion next year. So for now, I will bid you adieu, and we will convene again tomorrow. Have a good evening. Bye for now.